welcome to Toss Up 1994, where we feature top area high school students in exciting academic competition. I'm Karen Elliott, your host and moderator for today's game. Let's meet our teams first. And here we have for Baylor over here, Andrew Winternitz. Andrew, welcome. Who'd you bring with you today?
To my right, I have Otis Sajani, and to my left, I have Colin Womack.
Welcome to you all. And the opposing team for today from the Chattanooga School for the Arts and Sciences, the team captain is Jonathan Fallon. Jonathan, welcome. Who did you bring with you today?
To my left, I have Blair Prevost, and to my right, Stephen Trudell.
Looking forward to a good match from you all as well. As our teams get ready for today's game, let me remind everyone of the rules. The competition is divided into 2 toss-up rounds that are each followed by a bonus round. Toss-up questions are worth between 5 and 20 points and are answered by the team member that buzzes in first. Scores are tallied at the end of each toss-up round, and the team with the higher score gets its choice of categories in the bonus round, which are worth 10 points each. Any team buzzing in before the question is completed will lose 5 points if the answer is given wrong. And before we get started, I want to thank our panel of judges who are with us today. The judges will have the final decisions on any questions or scores. Good luck to our teams. Are we ready to begin toss-up round 1? Here we go. For 15 points, spell the word bar mitzvah.
To Johnny Baylor.
B-A-R-M-I-T-Z-V-A-H.
Correct. For 5 points, traveling by train through Colorado, he collapsed. Rushed back to Washington, he was confined to his bed and seriously ill for weeks. During that time, his wife made all the decisions and became, in effect, the real acting president. Name that president.
Trudell, CSAS.
Franklin Roosevelt.
That is not correct.
Winternitz Baylor.
William Henry Harrison.
Woodrow Wilson, the correct answer there. For 5 points, in which country surrounded by the Pacific and Indian Oceans did scientists find fossils showing that life on Earth was surprisingly advanced more than 3.5 billion years ago?
Winternitz Baylor.
Indonesia.
No. CSAS?
Sri Lanka.
Correct answer there, Australia. For 15 points, an element with an atomic number of 12 has a valence of what?
To Johnny Baylor.
2.
Correct. For 5 points, scientists have discovered mental retardation may be caused by a lack of oxygen in the mother's womb because of excessive alcohol can restrict the flow of blood through what cord?
Prevost, CSAS.
The fetal cord.
Judges?
Incorrect.
Incorrect.
Winternitz Baylor.
The umbilical cord.
Correct. For 20 points, as is so often the case, the artist never received much recognition until after his death. A Frenchman, he spent most of his pleasant days during his first trip to Tahiti, where he painted primitive people in a primitive style. Can you name him?
Time.
Paul Gauguin. For 15 points, in 1950, she became the first African-American woman to win a Pulitzer Prize. In 1976, she became the first African-American woman elected to the National Institute of the Arts and Letters. In her work, she often writes about blacks in northern cities. Name the poet.
Fallon, CSAS.
Maya Angelou.
That is not correct.
Winternitz Baylor.
Eudora Welty.
Gwendolyn Brooks, the correct answer there. For 5 points, it moves by forming an extension of its body called a pseudopod. And
To Johnny Baylor.
An amoeba.
correct, and flowing into it. It's a single-celled animal, indeed the amoeba. For 5 points, depending upon the hemisphere, in what direction do typhoons, hurricanes, and tornadoes whirl?
Winternitz Baylor.
Clockwise.
In the northern hemisphere is clockwise, southern hemisphere is counterclockwise.
Incorrect.
Fallon, CSAS.
In the northern hemisphere it's counterclockwise, and the southern hemisphere it's clockwise.
That would be correct. For 10 points, in the U.S. space program, what specifically were the Mariner, Pioneer, Viking, and Voyager?
Winternitz Baylor.
Mars probes.
Judges? More information, more specific.
They were probes that landed on the surface of Mars, planet Mars, and
Judges?
took samples.
CSAS?
Solar system probes.
Judges?
More information.
More information, more specific, please.
Probes that orbited specific planets in our solar system.
Judges?
Incorrect.
Correct answer, unmanned planetary U.S. space vehicles. Remember, you must buzz in with your answer before you give your answer. For 15 points, who wrote The Fire Next Time, a series of essays on the feelings and attitudes of American blacks?
Time.
James Baldwin. For 15 points, claustrophobia is the abnormal fear of being in an enclosed...
Prevost, CSAS.
Enclosed spaces.
Let me finish the question, please. That would be incorrect. We need to spell claustrophobia.
To Johnny Baylor.
CLAUSTROPHOBIA.
That would be correct. For 10 points, this well-known American poet was born in Portland, Maine in 1807. He's the only American to be honored with a memorial bust in Poets' Corner of Westminster Abbey. His daughters were Grave Alice, Laughing Allegra, and Edith with the golden hair. Who was he?
To Johnny Baylor.
Poe.
That is not correct.
Fallon, CSAS.
Longfellow.
Correct, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. For 5 points, in foreign trade, we sell more to Russia than we buy from them. Is our chief export to them machinery, food, chemicals, or clothing?
To Johnny Baylor.
Food.
That is correct. For 5 points, it is divided into the Armenian quarter, Muslim quarter, Christian quarter, and Jewish quarter. The landmarks include the Via Dolorosa.
Fallon, CSAS.
Jerusalem.
That would be correct. Name this historic city. For 20 points, this well-written novel of manners features a young heroine who is attractive but poor and a handsome hero who is proud. The tale of their courtship makes a charming English classic. Name the author.
Fallon, CSAS.
Dickens.
That is not correct. Name the author and title of the novel.
To Johnny Baylor.
Jane Eyre by Bronte.
Correct answer, Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice. For 20 points, name the only breed of dog native to the United States.
Fallon, CSAS.
The Alaskan Husky.
No, that is not correct.
Womack, Baylor.
The Jack Russell Terrier.
Boston Terrier on that one. Last question in the first toss-up round for 5 points. Julia Roberts, Olympia Dukakis, Daryl Hannah, Shirley MacLaine, Sally Field, and Dolly Parton starred in what 19...
Fallon, CSAS.
Steel Magnolias.
That is correct. And that's the end of round 1. In just a moment, we'll take a look at the scores. But first, here are the bonus categories, FDR and literary titles. And we'll check out our scores in just a moment. And here we are. At this point, Baylor's coming in at 60 points and CSAS at 20 points, which means Baylor will go first in the bonus round. And your categories are FDR and literary titles. Which will you choose?
We're going to take FDR.
All right, FDR it will be. Remember that during the bonus rounds, team members may confer, but only the captain can give the answers. Each school will have 60 seconds to answer the 10 questions. Captains, you may pass on any questions, and we'll come back to them if time permits. Are you ready? All right, here we go. FDR. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was elected president how many times?
4.
Correct. What state is the birthplace of both Theodore and Franklin Roosevelt?
Massachusetts.
Incorrect. Now the location of the first of the great presidential libraries. This town is the birthplace of Franklin Roosevelt. Name this New York town.
Poughkeepsie.
That is incorrect. Roosevelt succeeded as president despite suffering from the crippling effects of what disease?
Polio.
Correct. To celebrate his 100th birthday, this charitable organization honored FDR with a dinner in Washington. Name the group founded by Roosevelt, which originally sought a cure for polio.
American Medical Association.
That is incorrect. One of Roosevelt's first legislative programs led to the 21st Amendment. What did
New
this
Deal.
amendment accomplish?
The New Deal. Pass.
Which of these programs did not get its start during the Roosevelt administration? FDIC, Peace Corps, TVA, or CCC?
TVA.
Incorrect. What famous Roosevelt quotation was inspired by the words of Henry David Thoreau? I'm sorry. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Repealed prohibition was the 21st Amendment, the legislative programs. New York was the birthplace of Theodore and Franklin Roosevelt. Hyde Park, the birthplace of Franklin Roosevelt. March of Dimes is the charitable organization that FDR organized. And Peace Corps was the program during the Roosevelt administration that did not get its start under his administration. All right, we'll turn our attention now to literary titles. School for the Arts and Sciences, you will have 1 minute to answer these questions. We'll get started here, and remember, you can pass on any of the questions. We will come back if time permits. Are we ready? I'll give you the subtitle of famous literary works along with the author. You give me the title. Life Among the Lowly by Harriet Beecher Stowe.
Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Correct. The Whale by Herman Melville.
Moby Dick.
Correct. The Silver Skates by Mary Mapes Dodge.
Pass.
An episode of the Civil War by Stephen Crane.
Red Badge of Courage.
Correct. A Study by Henry James.
In Scarlet.
Incorrect. A Saga of the Prairie by Ole Rolvog.
Little House on the Prairie.
Incorrect. A Girl of the Streets by Stephen Crane.
Pass.
A Story of California by Frank Norris.
Pass.
A Story of the Buried Life by Thomas Wolfe.
Pass.
The Inland Sea by James Fenimore Cooper.
Last of the Mohicans.
Incorrect. The Silver Skates by Mary Mapes Dodge.
Pass.
A Girl of the Streets by Stephen Crane.
Maggie.
Pardon me?
Maggie.
Correct. That is correct, all right. You passed on The Story of California, would be Octopus, Look Homeward Angel, Thomas Wolfe, Hans Brinker, Mary Mapes Dodge. And your incorrect answers were Daisy Miller, Henry James, Giants in the Earth, Ole Rolvog, Inland Sea, Pathfinder, James Fenimore Cooper, and you had Maggie Correct by Stephen Crane. Good job, both teams. We appreciate it, and appreciate the time that you have taken in preparation for today's match, and want to thank our coaches in line with that as well. I want to thank David Harris for Baylor, and we want to thank Joanne Smith and Jerry Pate over at CSAS. Before we check the score, let me tell you what they're playing for. Within the toss-up round tournament, there are a total of 10 schools competing against each other to win academic recognition, a special plaque, and scholarship money. Bryan College, an official sponsor of Toss-Up 94, is offering 4 $1,000 scholarships to the winning toss-up school. As we keep that in mind, let's check our scores. And here we are right now, coming in with CSAS 60 points, Baylor 80 points. There's still a lot of time left for either team to score. So let's get started in round 2. For 15 points, the world record for the mile is run 3 minutes. Excuse me, let me start again, please. For 15 points, the world record for the mile run is 3 minutes, 46.32 seconds. To the nearest mile, how many miles per hour is this?
To Johnny Baylor.
27 miles an hour.
That is not correct.
Time.
16 would be the correct answer there. In which city is the Football Hall of Fame located?
Winternitz, Baylor.
Canton, Ohio.
Correct. For 10 points, the marching song of George Washington's army in the Revolutionary War was written by a British Army surgeon in 1755 while watching the awkward drilling of the American militia who had volunteered for the French and Indian War, which was then at its height. The surgeon's name was Dr. Richard Shuckburgh. What was the song?
Fallon, CSAS.
Yankee Doodle.
Correct. For 15 points, can you recall 3 books by Sinclair Lewis in which the name of the leading character was also the title of the book?
Time.
Ann Vickers, Aerosmith, Babbitt, Cass Timberlane, Dodsworth, Elmer Gantry, Gideon Planish, and King's Blood Royal. For 5 points, at age 100, what was Grandma Moses still doing?
To Johnny Baylor.
Painting.
Correct. For 20 points, I'll give you 4 new names of old places, and you give me the old names. Istanbul,
Fallon, CSAS.
Constantinople.
Let me finish the question, please. Istanbul, Bangladesh, Thailand, Iran.
To Johnny Baylor.
Istanbul is Constantinople. Bangladesh is East Pakistan. Thailand is Iran is Persia, and Thailand is Myanmar.
Siam would be Thailand. All right, for 10 points, of Unitarianism, pantheism, and Stoicism, which religious philosophy holds that each man should be free to form his own religious beliefs?
To Johnny Baylor.
Unitarianism.
Correct. And that man is capable of creating a world society based on justice and cooperation. Correct. For 5 points, which war lasted the longest? The American Revolution, Civil War, or World War II?
Winternitz Baylor.
The American Revolution.
Correct. For 10 points, John Hancock's signature on the Declaration of Independence may be the boldest, but only 2 signers of the Declaration served as president. Name them.
To Johnny Baylor.
Jefferson and Madison.
That is not correct.
Trudell, CSAS.
Jefferson and Franklin.
John Adams and Jefferson. There. For 15 points, what single discount is equivalent to successive discounts of 10% and 15%?
Time.
23.5%. For 10 points, in Eastern philosophy, a method of bodily and mental discipline devised to effect the union of the spirit of the individual and the world soul. It's designated by what now common term?
To Johnny Baylor.
Yoga.
Correct. For 20 points, on June 7th, 1776, he stood up in the Continental Congress in Philadelphia and offered a resolution that changed the whole course of American history. He said, "These united colonies are, and of a right ought to be, free and independent states." Who was this man?
Winternitz Baylor.
Wilson. James Wilson.
Incorrect.
Trudell, CSAS.
James Madison.
Richard Henry Lee is the correct answer on that one. For 5 points, in the Muppet movie, Rolf the piano-playing dog says, "I'm no Heifetz, but I get by." The joke is that Jascha Heifetz was not a virtuoso on the keyboard, but on what instrument?
Winternitz Baylor.
The violin.
Correct. For 15 points, the 2 types of waves by pattern are what?
Fallon, CSAS.
Sine waves and cosine waves.
That is not correct.
Winternitz Baylor.
Low frequency and high frequency waves.
Transverse and longitudinal. Now, for 5 points, finish these lines from Shakespeare in the next 4 questions. To be or not to be?
Winternitz Baylor.
That is the question.
Correct. For 10 points, let me have men about me that are fat, sleek-headed men, and such as sleep o' nights. Yon Cassis has...
Winternitz Baylor.
Et tu, Brutus?
No, that is not correct.
Time.
A lean and hungry look he has. For 20 points, some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some...
Winternitz Baylor.
Have greatness thrust upon them.
Correct. For 15 points, but soft, what light through yonder window breaks, it is the east and...
To Johnny Baylor.
Juliet is the sun.
Correct. For 15 points, in the language of digital computers, what is the difference between a bit and a byte?
To Johnny Baylor.
A byte is 8 bits.
And could you complete the answer?
A byte is 8 bits of memory.
Judges? CSAS? All right. We also needed a bit as a piece of information. Binary teacher. For 15 points, many kings named Louis have ruled France. Which one had mistresses named Dubarry and Pompadour?
Fallon, CSAS.
Louis XIV.
Incorrect.
Winternitz, Baylor.
Louis the 16th.
Louis the 15th. And for 15 points, the subject of this book is the Bolshevik Revolution. The writer is buried in the Kremlin. His friend Lenin wrote an introduction for the latter editions of the book. The film Reds, directed by Warren Beatty, was inspired by the book. And the question is, what American journalist wrote the book, or what is the title?
To Johnny, Baylor.
Animal Farm.
That is incorrect.
Time.
John Reed, 10 Days That Shook the World. For 20 points, a famous British playwright once sent a famous British statesman 2 tickets to the opening of his new play with the invitation, bring a friend if you have one. The statesman regretted that he was engaged and requested tickets for a second performance, if there is one. Name the 2 wits.
Time.
George Bernard Shaw and Winston Churchill. Well, that's the end of our second toss-up round. Before we go to scores, here are the 2 bonus categories, expressions and cities. Remember that the bonus round questions are worth 10 points each, and only the captain may give an answer. At this point, Baylor is coming in with 170 points, and CSAS is 65 points. Baylor, you're ahead, so you may choose your category. Would you like cities or expressions?
We're going to have cities.
All right. You will have 60 seconds to answer these 10 questions, and you may pass if you choose. We will remember, if you give incorrect answers, they're incorrect, and no more questions about that. If you pass, you may go back to it if time allows. Keep in mind that the team captain may give the answer. You all may confer, but the answer has to come from him. For cities, first, I'll name 5 American cities. You give me the nationality of the founders. New York City.
Dutch.
Correct. Jamestown, Virginia.
English.
Correct. New Orleans, Louisiana.
French.
Correct. St. Augustine, Florida.
Spanish.
Correct. Savannah, Georgia.
English.
Correct. Reykjavik.
That's Iceland.
Yes. Name the island or island group on which you would find each of these cities. Very good. Messina.
Sicily.
Correct. Colombo.
Sri Lanka.
Correct. Manila.
Philippines.
Correct. Jakarta.
Indonesia.
Correct. All right. Very good on that bonus round. Appreciate all the time and preparation you all have taken in preparing for toss-up. Time well spent, no question. We'll be proceeding now to CSAS. You all have done a good job as well, and your category will be expressions. You will have 60 seconds to answer these 10 questions. Are you ready?
Okay.
Expressions. I'm looking for precise definitions of these figures of speech. Here we go. Crocodile tears.
Pass.
Crossing the Rubicon.
Pass.
The lion's share.
The largest part.
Correct. Achilles heel.
Weakness. Weak point.
Correct. Greek gift.
Not what's expected. False gift.
Judges. To cry wolf.
False alarm.
Bury the hatchet.
Forget the past.
Correct. Skeleton in the closet.
Bad things in your past.
Hobson's choice. Correct. Hobson's choice.
Pass.
To tilt at windmills.
Pass.
Precise definitions. Crocodile tears.
Fake tears.
Correct. All right. Crossing the Rubicon. Take an irrevocable, decisive step. Hobson's choice. A choice without alternative. Tilt at windmills to fight imaginary enemies. And the incorrect answer, Greek gift, something given with a treacherous purpose. All right, good job there, fellows. We again want to thank you, the coaches that have taken the time to prepare these teams for competition. We appreciate the fact that Joanne Smith and Jerry Pate from CSAS gave their time to prepare these students for competition today. And we also thank the fact that David Harris prepared Baylor for its competition today. It takes quite a bit on the coach's part and certainly the team members' part to prepare for this competition, and we appreciate these efforts. Now, let's take a look at that final score for today. Right now we have Baylor coming in at 270 points and CSAS at 115 points. Appreciate the efforts of both teams. They did a great game, and we appreciate them being with us. Thank you, too, for our judges for helping us today. And thank you for watching your favorite public television station, WTCI. We'll see you next time with 2 new teams for another game of Toss-Up.
Next, it's the U.S. Senate debate, Jim Sasser versus Bill Frist. Watch Channel 45 Tuesday night at 9:30 for Future Quest, Into the Future, a program focusing on society's never-ending obsession with predicting the future.